Today, we're going to look at multi-step equations, and we're just going to do a quick review on that from chapter 1. And there are certain steps that we want to follow when doing the multi-step equations. The first one is distribute / combine. So if there's anything to distribute in the equation, that's the first thing you want to do, unless there's something in the parentheses, but in our problems, we won't. So distribute, and then we're going to combine anything we can on each side of the equal sign. Second thing we want to do is ask ourselves, are there variables on both sides? And if so, we want to remove one. And I prefer to use remove the smaller one. And the third thing is, after we've done that, we're just going to solve to get the letter alone by doing its opposites. So we're going to look at a few problems. The first problem down here is I have negative 6m plus 3 equals 81. And this is just a two-step equation. I draw the line down the center, and eventually we're going to divide by this negative 6. But first I want to get rid of my positive or negative numbers. So I'm going to get rid of a positive 3 by subtracting 3. Obviously we skipped step 1 and 2 because there was nothing to combine or distribute, and then there weren't variables on both sides. So we're on step 3, solve for the letter by doing opposites. So we're going to minus 3, and 81 minus 3 is 78. I'm going to bring down my negative 6m, and then I'm just going to divide by a negative 6. And negative 6, positive divided by a negative is going to be a negative. And 6 goes into 78 times 13. So m is going to equal a negative 13. This one's the same type of problem. Instead, though, of multiplication, because this says negative 6 times m, this one says x divided by 2. So eventually, we're going to multiply by 2. There's nothing to distribute or combine on either side of the equal signs. There's no variables on both sides, so I'm just going to move right to step 3, solving for the letter. So I'm going to minus 7 first to get rid of that plus or minus number. 3 minus 7 is a negative 4. And then I'm going to bring down this positive x over 2. They're being divided, so I'm going to do the opposite and multiply both sides by 2. And negative 4 times 2 is a negative 8. So x is going to equal a negative 8. This one is new, so pay close attention. Here, and you might have done this last year, but we haven't messed with it this year. I have x minus 5 all divided by 3 equals a negative 5. I can't just add 5 on both sides because the whole thing's being divided by 3. So I want to get rid of this divided by 3. And how I do that is I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 3. In that way, these 3's are going to cancel each other out, leaving me with x minus 5. But what I do on one side, I have to do the other. Since I multiplied by 3 over here, I'm going to multiply by 3 on this negative 5. Negative 5 times 3 is going to be a negative 15. Then I just want to get x alone, so I'm going to get rid of this minus 5 by adding 5 on both sides. And x is going to equal a negative 10. So we're just going to look at the next one really quick. I got x plus 6 divided by 3 equals a negative 2. Again, I want to get rid of that 3 on the bottom. So if the whole thing's being divided by 3, I'm going to do the opposite and multiply by 3. Canceling these out, and then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And what I'm going to be left with is x plus 6 equals 3. And I want to get rid of that positive 6. So I'm going to minus 6 on both sides. Leaving me with negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. I'm going to have x equals negative 8. This is called distributing when I have a number right next to the parentheses, and I have to distribute this negative 7 into both of these. And really that just means multiply negative 7 by both of them. So negative 7 times 3 is a negative 21. Negative 7 times a positive 6 is going to be a negative 42. And then I'm just going to bring down that equals negative 126. This is a two-step equation now. I am going to add 42 on both sides. And negative 126 plus 42. Since the signs are different, negative and positive, I'm really subtracting those numbers. And I'm going to get 84. 126 is bigger than 42 and it's negative, so my answer is going to come out negative. And then I'm going to bring down my negative 21v. I'm going to divide by a negative 21. And 21 times 4 is 84. So this is going to be 4. Also, keep in mind, negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I'm going to have a positive 4. This video is also in Google Classroom. If you're working through it and you're having some problems remembering some of this stuff, you can find it on your computers. This next one, there's nothing to distribute, but there is stuff to combine. So I can combine my two A's. I want to check to make sure they're both positive, and if they are, I can just add them together. 6 plus 3 is 9A. And then I want to bring everything down. I haven't dealt with this positive 7, so I'm going to bring that down. And the other side of the equal sign. So 1 plus 3A. I cannot combine this 3A and this 9A because they're on opposite sides, so I need to get rid of one. And that's where we go to step 2. If there are variables on both sides, we're going to get rid of one. I usually get rid of the smaller one. So I'm going to get rid of this 3A by minusing 3A. 9A minus 3A is 6A. And then I'm going to bring down this positive 7 and equals 1 because these crossed out. Next, it's a two-step equation. I'll just minus 7. So I'll have 1 minus 7 is going to be a negative 6. And I'll have 6A equals a negative 6. So when I go to divide by 6, I'm going to be left with a negative 1. And that's pretty much it. There's just one last thing that I wanted to talk about. Sometimes when you go to solve these and it doesn't make sense, it's going to be a no solution. So that's when both of your variables are going to disappear. So here I have negative 3x minus 4 equals a negative 3x. So to get rid of one, since I have variables on both sides, I'm going to add 3x. And when I add 3x to both sides, both of the x's are going to disappear. So these will cross out. These will cross out, leaving me with 0 over here because there's nothing left, and negative 4. So negative 4 doesn't equal 0. It doesn't make sense. So here I would just write no solution for my answer. And the opposite is if the two numbers do equal each other, then it's infinite solution. So here I have variables on both sides. I have 2x's on both sides. So if I minus 2x on both sides, they're going to cross out. And what I'm going to be left with is negative 3 equals negative 3. And so if they equal each other like that, since negative 3 does equal a negative 3, that's going to be an infinite solution. So you just write infinite solution there. All right, that's all I got.